My name is David. I live in the Philippines. This is not a planned video. This is a what happened this week video. We're going to cover what happens when a foreigner has a medical emergency in the Philippines. That foreigner would be my cousin Eddie. He is ex-military. He was a Navy SEAL. Eddie is not one of those guys who at 66 years of age tells everyone, I was a Navy SEAL. No, Eddie was a Navy SEAL. Everyone likes to watch videos on how much it costs to live in the Philippines. People like to budget for everyday costs. We're going to look in real time about how much a medical emergency costs. We're going to look at such things as ambulance costs, emergency room wait times, what are the differences between private and public hospitals. We'll even talk a bit about VA benefits. If you're not from the United States, VA is Veterans Affairs. It is what ex-service members have access to. Sunday, Montalban, Rizal. My cousin is sick, but everyone is sick at this time of the year. It's gotten to the point where he is not strong enough to walk. His wife Daisy is helping him to and from the bathroom. He can't stand on his own. Montalban is 32 kilometers, 20 miles from the U.S. Embassy in Manila. Montalban is just outside Metro Manila. Monday. Eddie's still not any better. About noon, Daisy insists that they call an ambulance. Eddie can't even sit up. His lungs are so full of fluid. Eddie, of course, doesn't want to visit a doctor. He's going to get better, and he's worried about costs. Daisy takes 25,000 pesos. She keeps that on hand in case there is an emergency. And after 10,000 pesos and a 19-kilometer trip in an ambulance, she arrives at the East Ave Medical Center in Quezon City. This is a government hospital, a public hospital. It is the least expensive option since Daisy's down to 15,000 pesos. Lesson 1. You need cash for some things in the Philippines, and you need to keep cash on hand for an emergency. 25,000 pesos, which is a little over $400, is enough for most emergencies. Daisy messages Eddie's eldest daughter and Eddie's ex-wife using Facebook Messenger. Eddie's family is in Philadelphia, where it is the middle of the night. The emergency room is crowded. Eddie is lying on a bench. There's no bed available in the ER. In the evening, it is Eddie's turn to be examined. The hospital draws blood and takes x-rays. He hasn't been given a bed, let alone been assigned a room. Daisy has barely slept in 36 hours. A neighbor's taking care of their 8-year-old son that she has with Eddie. Monday morning Eastern Standard Time in Philadelphia. Eddie's ex-wife wakes up. She reads the messages. She immediately messages Eddie's aunt, who's a retired nurse, also living on the U.S. East Coast. 7 a.m. California time, Eddie's cousin wakes up and sees a Facebook message from his aunt, the retired nurse. The message says, your cousin Eddie is sick. He's trying to get admitted to a hospital on East Ave. I am that cousin in California. My aunt knows I normally live in Eastwood, which must be close to East Ave in the Philippines, right? I mean, they both have East in the name. My aunt's almost right. Eastwood, Quezon City, is 10 kilometers from East Ave Hospital, also in Quezon City, except I'm in California for work meetings. I reply to my aunt, and she immediately calls me using Facebook Messenger. We talk. She's obviously upset. I ask who from Eddie's family is on Facebook. I know a lot of you older guys are thinking, does he really use Facebook Messenger? Lesson 2. In the Philippines, chat apps like WhatsApp, Messenger, and Viber are required. You need them to make plans with your friends, chat with dates when you're single, and to contact your family back home. I don't know Eddie very well. I'm the youngest cousin, he's the oldest cousin. I grew up in Boston, he grew up in Alaska. I've met him maybe 6 times total. I know he's somewhere in the hinterlands outside Metro Manila. I've never met him while he's been in the Philippines. By 10 a.m. PST, I'm now friends with Eddie's ex-wife on Facebook, and I can message her. I introduce myself, and she calls me immediately. No time for chatting or texting, just a phone call. I learn a few things. Eddie's ex is the one who sends him his pension check every month by transferring the money to his bank in the Philippines. I also learned the full name of Eddie's wife, so that I can contact her on Facebook. Why did I ask about how Eddie gets his money? Lesson 3. You need a way for your family to send you money from overseas. Make sure you can send $10 because in an emergency, you might need to send $1,000. It's an hour before midnight in Quezon City. I message my ex-brother-in-law. He is a doctor at St. Luke's BGC. I tell him my cousin Eddie is in Eastwood Ave Hospital. My ex-brother-in-law calls me right away. He doesn't even type a message on Messenger. He's just like, you need to get Eddie to St. Luke's since it's a private hospital. East Ave is a public hospital and it will be overcrowded. Lesson 4. No experts in the Philippines. Did you notice the pattern? These people just called me and skipped the slow texting back and forth. The situation is that serious. 10:30 in the morning, California time. It's nearly midnight in Quezon City. I reach Eddie's wife, Daisy, on Facebook. Eddie has an infection. His hemoglobin levels are low. He requires a blood transfusion. This cannot happen until the morning at the East Ave Hospital. That would be Tuesday morning their time. There are too many critical patients in front of Eddie. Lesson 5. Facebook is a great way to find relatives in the event of an emergency. You live in the Philippines, you should have Facebook, and no, you don't have to post a picture of your breakfast every day. Daisy and I exchanged some text messages on Messenger. This all took place 6 days ago. Those 3 or 4 text messages are why Eddie is alive today. I told Daisy I would cover the cost of getting Eddie to St. Luke's and I'd cover his first day in the hospital. Daisy needs to decide where Eddie gets treated. She makes the decision to move Eddie to St. Luke's BGC. Daisy pays the bill at East Ave, which is 12,000 pesos. The ambulance to St. Luke's is 9,000 pesos. Daisy's down to 3,000 pesos. She's 6,000 pesos short. I need to send Daisy money to her GCash. She gives me her phone number, which is her GCash number. There's a problem. I normally send GCash using a machine at Robinson's Supermarket in Eastwood. I'm in California. My wife is asleep. I normally have my wife send money from her phone. My wife's breastfeeding twins, so I don't want to wake her. She's exhausted from, caring for twins. I pinged 2 guys I know in the Philippines, Steve and Artie, using Facebook. They both work nights, and if you watch my videos, you know Artie from the video 2 Naughty Nannies. Steve and Artie say, yeah, you want us to wake up our wives so we can send you GCash? No, I don't need them to wake up their wives. GCash has different tiers. I can use it, but I'm limited to very small transactions. To get full access to GCash, you need a Filipino ID. Steve and Artie and I all have our wives pay our electric bill and cell phone bills using GCash. The wives are fully authenticated on GCash, so they have higher limits than we have. I think about 8 years ago, I sent some money using Remitly. I log in and under 30 seconds, I sent Daisy $200 using my Chase Bank ATM card. Daisy now has 11,000 pesos. Remitly is a decent exchange rate, 56.4. I could do better, but this is an emergency. I know there is a rule, never send a Filipina you don't know money. I think we could agree that this situation is different. That $200 is why Eddie's alive today. I'm 8,000 miles away, so I have no real idea what's going on. I want to get Eddie in an ambulance while traffic is light. I'm thinking about how to avoid a 3-hour ambulance ride. Daisy was told a week later by a doctor that Eddie likely would have died in the emergency room at East Ave. I'm not a medical genius. I was just trying to avoid rush hour traffic, and that's why he's alive today. Just a lucky, stupid decision on my part. Lesson 6. Have a way to send GCash even while you're sitting at your house in San Jose, California. It's Monday in California. I need to work. About 5 in the afternoon, Daisy pings me. It's Tuesday morning in Taguig, St. Luke's BGC. Eddie has a room. Eddie has oxygen. He also has pneumonia, and he's been given a blood transfusion, IV antibiotics. He's got blood clots in his legs, reduced kidney functionality, lots going on. Daisy's freaking out because the bill after 8 hours at St. Luke's is 210,000 pesos. I sync up with my wife and Daisy on Facebook. My wife will travel down to BGC to pay the day one bill with a credit card. Our twins were born at St. Luke's BGC via C-section. We know how billing works. My wife heads down in the afternoon Filipino time. Eddie's the first of my relatives to meet my wife. My wife's helped Daisy out by buying her some toiletries. Daisy's barely slept in 72 hours, and she didn't pack basic items like toothbrush and shampoo. Daisy messaged me, "Oh, your wife is so sweet. She's so pretty. She looks like a teenager." Well, nice to hear. Okay, my wife is 29 and she looks 18, such as being Filipino. The 210,000, and I know that these are numbers and they're kind of boring, but the 210,000 pesos shows up as my credit card as $3,600. That's an exchange rate of 58 pesos to the dollar. I get 1% cash back, so I have an exchange rate of 58.7. If I'd used my 2% cashback card, which is sitting with me in California, I could have gotten an exchange rate of 59.8. I know it's a big mumbo jumbo of numbers, but I saved myself a few $100s by using the credit card. Tuesday U.S. time, Eddie's kids kick into gear. They send over $1,100 for Eddie. I point out that the exchange rate they're getting is 55.7. My aunt also sends me a check for $1,000 so I can send money over to Daisy using Remitly. Yes, again, it's not the best exchange rate, but we need to get the ball rolling. The current balance is still 200,000 pesos after I paid 210,000 pesos. Eddie's kids think that exchange rates differ because of the day of the week and things along those lines. That's not how it works. Yes, they do differ over time, but exchange rates differ radically based off of how you send money. You need to plan in advance how to get the best exchange rate. By Saturday, the current bill is 400,000 pesos. Eddie is talking. He's making jokes. He's no longer drifting in and out of consciousness. The family is scrambling to see if there's VA reimbursement, if there's some kind of long-term medical condition. Should he fly to the VA hospital in Guam? There is only a VA clinic in the Philippines, and it basically does physicals. Daisy doesn't have a visa to get to Guam, so Eddie would be on his own. I suggest to the family that they pool their money in the U.S. and pay the bill by credit card. The balance is now 600,000 pesos. Lesson 7. Always get the best exchange rate. We don't know the final bill. I figured it out. Eddie loses $1,000 a year from his pension because he's not optimizing his exchange rate. That's just reality. And after this is over with, he and I can talk and hopefully we can remedy this. I don't know how this story ends. Why did I help out a cousin I barely know? He's my cousin. He's blood. It's also what you do, and he served. Daisy's an incredible woman. She would not leave Eddie's side for day after day with no sleep. She handled the emergency well, and she knows what she is doing with money. If this happened in the United States, the hospital bill would be $150,000. I don't know if Medicare or VA benefits would cover this treatment. I know that in the Philippines, at least I stand a chance of paying for urgent care. Catch you in the next one.